These next problems all have parentheses in them, so they're going to require you to do some distributing on this. Now, this problem can actually be written out this way. If you see a minus sign, it's exactly the same thing as a -1 that's in front. Okay, so it's like you have a -1. Now, the order of operations say we have to do multiplication before we do subtraction. So you can't do 11 minus 1 and make 10 and then multiply. So instead, we need to first multiply by -1 first. So to do that, we're going to multiply -1 times both things inside the parentheses. So we get -x and -5. The next step is we need to clean up the left-hand side. So the left-hand side, we've got 11 minus 5, that's 6. So we'll simplify the left-hand side, add the like terms. Okay, so now we have that. Next thing is we notice that there is the x's here. We want to put all this on the same side of the equation. So I'm going to add 13x to both sides. So if we do that, we get 13 and then -1, so we get 12. So 6 plus 12x greater than or equal to 6. We want to get x by itself, which means we have to subtract 6 from both sides. And in doing so, that's going to give us a 0 here, because 6 minus 6 is going to give you a 0. Now we need to divide both sides by 12 because we want to get x by itself. So we divide by 12. And we get that x is greater than or equal to 0 is what we get as a result. Now, since we're not dividing by 0, that's okay. If 0 is on top, that's all right. It's just that we can't divide by 0. So we get that. Now we want to do the number line and the interval notation. 0 is right there, and we're going to do a closed circle. And then greater than means the arrow goes to the right. So we have 0 closed circle going to the right. For the interval notation, since it goes to the right, 0 is a smaller number, so it has to come first. That's going to be a bracket because of the greater than or equal to. And that's going to go to infinity. That would be your answer in interval notation. Okay, for the next problem, we need to distribute and multiply. So the -2 will get multiplied into each of these. We're also at the same time going to multiply the 3. The 3 gets multiplied into each of those as well. So we have -2 times the x, so -2x. -2 times the 4 is -8. Then we have -2x. Then we have less than. 3 times the x is 3x. 3 times the 7 is 21. We still got a -1 here on the end. On both sides, we have some like terms we can combine together. -2x and -2x is -4x, so -4x minus 8. We have less than. And then we have 3x. 21 minus 1 is 20. Okay, so now we have that. Next step is we want to get all the x's on one side, so we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. -4x minus 3x is -7x. 7x minus 8. And we have less than 20. Next step would be to add the 8 to both sides. So we get -7 less than 28. Trying to get all the x's on one side. That's the reason why we added 8 to both sides there. Now we need to divide both sides by -7. Now remember that whenever you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, the sign is going to switch. So in this case here, I have x is going to be greater than -4. So the sign switches there, and we get this. Number line, we have -4. That's going to be an open circle this time because it's a greater than. We don't have the equals underneath. Now it's greater than, which means it's going to be the arrow goes to the right. And because it does go to the right, when we start our interval notation, we have to start with -4. That's going to have a parenthesis. And it's going to go to infinity, which also has a parenthesis. Okay, we'll do one more of these here. So for this, we're going to do 3 times the x. And then we're also going to do 3 times the 5. Then we're going to do 5 times the 2x, 5 times the 1. So we're going to get 3x plus 15 minus 4x less than or equal to 5 times 2 is 10x plus 5. And don't forget about the minus 6 that we have on the end there. We want to clean up both sides. We want to add the like terms. 3x minus 4x is negative x. We have negative x plus 15 less than or equal to on the right-hand side. 10x minus 6x is 4x, so 4x plus 5 we have there. We want to get all the x's on one side of the equation, particularly you want to put them on the left-hand side. Now, yes, it would be easier to add x and make it positive, but when you have the x on the right-hand side, sometimes it's harder to know what the final answer is going to be, which direction the inequality symbol goes. This is why I always move everything over to the right-hand side. So I have negative x minus 4x is negative 5x plus 15 is less than or equal to 5. Then we're going to subtract 15 from both sides to get the x by itself. So negative 5x is less than or equal to 5 minus 15 is negative 10. We need to divide both sides by negative 5 to get the x by itself. And we end up with x. And then when you divide by negative 5, the sign switches. So remember again, whenever you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, the sign is going to switch. So we get a positive 2 there because you have negative or negative, and it's going to be a greater than. Number line, put a 2 there. That's going to be a closed circle because of the equal sign there. Greater than means it's going to go to the right. And so this, we have a 2 with a bracket. That's going to go to infinity. We're starting with 2 first because that is a closed circle greater than or equal to, and that's lower than infinity. So that you always start with the lower number first when you do interval notation.